I'd like to call to order the meeting of the West Bend Community Memorial Library Board meeting for Tuesday, October 19th. Our first agenda item is to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but before we do that, I would like to thank the VFW,
American Legion.
the American Legion Post, for giving us this lovely, lovely flag, beautiful flag, I should say.
And they even assembled it for us.
Did they?
Wow.
Very good. So thank the American Legion Post. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is that Mr. Kleinhaus of the Legion?
Was it? Yeah.
That would be the
Oh,
VFW. Yeah.
VFW.
Okay. I know him, he's a very nice gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
John.
post is this, Deb?
Pardon me?
Which post?
36.
36?
Yeah, I'm a member.
You're a member? Well,
I am.
thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
I'd like to call for an approval of the agenda. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I would like to call for an approval of the consent agenda for the library board meeting minutes of September 21st and the library expenditures for the month of September.
I'll make a motion.
Josh?
Second.
Brett? Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial reports. Joseph. Did he?
Where is Joseph? I thought I saw him today.
Probably did, but
Okay.
he's not here now.
He might have been early and then, okay, well, we do have the financials.
He said he was coming.
He'll be here, I suppose.
Yeah, we have the financials.
There wasn't much. I see that the fund balance that was posted in like February of 11,000 got moved over.
We got it.
See the,
Yeah.
okay, so that
There it
was.
is.
Oh, hi, Joseph. We,
And I thought I saw you here when we were starting the meeting, so I don't.
okay, we are on the fund balance, and we were just mentioning that the $11,471 from last year that came out in the audit has been moved into the fund balance. Correct?
Where is that?
On the first page. Fund balance. Cash in, I know you're just getting, you know where it says cash investments? The next page, the other page.
Oh, okay.
This has always been, to me, the first page for some reason, but it always comes out in the packet as if this is the second. So the first page is,
Okay. So,
so if you look at the operating expense fund balance, the 11,471 that showed up in the March audit as carryover has been moved into the fund balance out of the actual expenditure account for this year, which is normally what happens. Okay. Any other questions or anything you wanted to add? I want to ask you, I know one of the checks was voided because they canceled, but what was the one, there was one in and out. Did they,
yeah,
what was that?
that was the Turtle Dance.
Well, Turtle Dance was voided totally and not reissued, but the Carol Tackus story time, it
Yeah.
showed a void and it showed a check. So what does that mean?
Well, because we wrote the check at the beginning of the month, and then
She canceled
she
it.
didn't show up or something, and the program didn't happen, and so they just didn't
Okay.
reschedule it and decided to cancel the.
Okay, my question though is, if that check was voided and the Turtle Dance was voided, was the Turtle Dance, did that post the prior month?
That was from a few months ago. Yeah, that was from like 6 or 7 months ago.
Okay, got
That
it.
it was on the report, and I was just like, oh, this is still outstanding, so I asked
Okay,
Steve
so that
about
was
it, and then
voided.
it came up that, oh, the vendor's not gonna charge us for that event.
Right.
Wonderful.
There wasn't a lot of attendance, so they said we won't charge you for both of them. They only charge us for the one.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for Joseph? If not, we'll move on to public comment, our normal public comment. Okay, we'll move on to number 6. We will be going, I'm wondering, should we, since we have a guest, should we actually move this? We would have had to have done that in the beginning, but we could move this to the end so that our observer can just stay. May I have a, I know it's kind of out of order, but may I have a motion to move number 6 to after number 13?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Karen, thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. So we will, all in favor of moving number 6 closed session to after number 13, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we will move to number 8, library director's report. Steve?
All right, so I've got a few things scheduled coming up. Next week, I'm meeting with the Friends Incorporated of Washington County. They want to talk about displays in our library. There were some concerns about a display that they were participating in the past year, and so we'll clear it up with them. November 3rd, I'll be doing the city episode filming, so we'll be up shortly after that. And November 10th, I'll be doing Women's Club presentation at the West Bend Country Club. November 15th through the 19th is WLA conference in Green Bay, so I will be here for the meeting that week. And intermittently throughout the week, I'm not staying in Green Bay. I will be just going up for the things that I need to go up for. December 7th, I'll be talking to the Philanthropic Educational Organization of West Bend here. And then, moving on to Emily, she gave statistics of September, 32,751 checkouts at West Bend, 155 new cards. She's been doing a lot of staff training for the LA2s, for the reference desk and information desk. And we did hire an LA2 that will be overseen by Emily, and she's contributing to marketing as well as the reference and circulation. Emily developed training for Hoopla. It's the new resource we provide to the community. She also did a review with Darcy of Edelweiss, the collection development software, and she provided a great report on that. We talked a little bit about it before. They have decided that they want to go with the Summit package, which will provide more information about our collection for them to make collection development choices.
That was the one we had seen the screen on,
Yes,
Summit? Okay.
and they did provide some neat statistics about that, and they can provide this report in print to anybody who wants it. But I'm happy that they did the report and took some time and actually gave you some good information. Susan's been doing training for her LA2s and working with Nancy and myself to do the Free Coffee Fridays. And we've had 2 speakers so far, League of Women Voters and a local physical therapist. And they're in the process of contacting local professors to see if they can talk about their latest research. And that covers it for the staff reports.
Okay. Any questions for Steve?
What was the attendance like at the Free Coffee Fridays? I had planned to go, but
Some are better than others. The physical therapist was very well attended. I think we had about 30. The League of Women Voters was only a few people attended that one. It might take some time to build up, and I think having more interesting topics to the community will show a larger audience. But we do see more people coming in on Friday. I've been watching the gate counter, or our people counter. So our early morning slump that we had is no longer a slump. And I have had other people that have approached me and said, thanks for providing coffee on Friday. And
Seems like a
cookies.
good idea.
Yeah. They also said, why aren't you providing it on Monday?
And Tuesday and Wednesday and
Tuesday,
Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday, right? So maybe that's a future plan, but we're seeing enough people on Monday that I didn't see that it was a need at this point. But if we need to find an incentive, coffee is relatively cheap at this point to provide for the community. So we're not buying expensive coffee. We're buying cheap coffee, and they're happy with that.
Great.
I'm not gonna put that in the minutes.
No.
Probably good. Well, you know, we're thrifty,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right.
and that's a good thing.
Any other questions for Steve? If not, we'll move on to number 9, the Library Director Board's report. I don't have anything really to report, except Steve showed me a neat feature on his phone that will be available to people. You actually can check out books on your own phone with the app. It is so cool. Oh, I mean, yes. So, what's the name of the app?
It's the Monarch to Go app, and you actually have this option now, but we aren't promoting it yet. But I'll open up my Monarch to Go app. It recognizes that I'm in the boundaries of our library, and if I swipe sideways, there's online resources and then a button for self-checkout. So I have to enable my location services, allow once, and I can just check out, and it comes up with little crosshairs there. You just scan your barcode, and it works quite nicely.
Fantastic.
And when you're in your home, I wonder if it says you're home. I'm only kidding.
The phone does.
Yeah, that I know. Any questions for me on anything? Otherwise, we will move on to the meeting room policy number 10.
I don't think I brought my marked up copy.
Oh.
But I
have
did
mine
have it in
somewhere.
my email.
Yeah, I do too. Cindy had called me about this because her concern was, when she read it, she thought that this was referring, the $25 charge was referring to study rooms and the small rooms. And it is not. The policy refers to the BI room, the storybook room, and the large conference room upstairs. And Steve was thinking about adding the 2 conference rooms in the basement.
Right. Since we don't have access to them during the night usually, but if we do have requests to rent, I think we should provide that at the same rate that we're providing for the other meeting rooms.
And the food, you actually have changed that because we have a food policy out there.
Yeah, we have a food and drink policy which actually says that people can have food and drink as long as they're not disturbing others, and
Yeah, I think we talked about that a few months ago.
Yeah.
It's coming.
and we're gonna hold them responsible for
Okay.
damage.
Any questions? No?
I definitely think utilizing the basement as much as you can. You know, you got beautiful conference rooms down there now, so if we can get more people down there
Yeah.
and show them what you have and profit a little bit off of it, sounds great.
Okay, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the meeting room policy.
A motion?
Thank you, Joseph. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Now, any further discussion? I guess I was out of order when I said that. but-
I
And does
agree
that
with
include
what I said.
the fee charge to start in January of $25 an hour and keeping it flat? That was part of my recommendation.
Did you all see that?
Just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Did you ever all hear what he said? Did you hear, Brett?
January 1st.
25, yeah. He talks so soft.
Sorry, yeah, I talk so soft. Don't feel like I'm in a big auditorium. I don't need to use my big voice. There are some people who have paid ahead for 2022, and I just leave that paid as is. So I wouldn't go back and ask them for more money for 2022, and I
All
would just let them know
grandfathered in.
that in 2023, the rate would change to the new rate.
And I know Steve has said that several, including Brad, of the librarians have been trained in this. So if someone does come and wants to use the equipment, we have trained librarians on staff to do that.
And is that an additional fee or is that included in that?
That's
45?
all inclusive now.
All-inclusive.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty nice. We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting room policy for changes to go into effect as of January 1st. May I, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Solar energy project.
I wanted to put this on the agenda so that we have a chance to discuss it. I know I sent out the quote already to the board members. And this is just one quote, one estimate. I would assume that you'd want me to get a few more estimates, but I wouldn't ask the board to necessarily fund this. I was thinking we would get sponsorship from the community for panels, and maybe about $1,000 a panel would cover the cost, and we'd probably be able to do that in a year's time. And then we'd be benefiting by, at our current rates, if energy rates don't go up, $18,000 a year savings on our energy bill. This company specifically would like to use it as an educational tool as well, so there'd be a display saying we saved this many trees or did all these things for the environment in their project if we decide to go with that company. But of course, I'd have multiple companies give us a talk and go through the deal. So I wanted to entertain questions about it. That's why I wanted to put it on the agenda. If there's any.
So this is just for the library's use only, the power is for our use only, it's not like a community solar project.
Right. The panels wouldn't produce all the power that we need for our library. It would just be offsetting our costs. And they did provide me some pretty graphs that the energy offset is 32%. Most of our energy that we use is during the day because it's heating and cooling. And that's when our lights are on because we're open. And that's when business is going on. So this is a simulation of monthly production based on consumption, and I will pass that around if you'd like to take a look at that.
And if you looked at the document, there are incentives, government incentives for, it's saying a total estimate of incentives about 33,000, so that would knock 33,000 off. But again, this is not going to be utilizing taxpayer money. We would be looking at using this as a trial or template for solar paneling. And I know the city is a little interested in solar energy also, so we could be like the test.
I know our mayor was really interested in us pursuing this.
And I think the community, there might be some donors or some businesses that would be open to sponsoring some of this.
So I got two, are we, yep.
Yep.
Yes. All right, two questions. 270 total panels, correct? I think that's,
267, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
How did that number, is that what they recommend based off of the size of the building or how the energy is
Yeah,
utilized?
what they did is they did a map of our roof. I have a copy of that as well.
I think I saw that
I think,
on
yeah,
the-
you included that in
Okay.
the packet.
So they looked at where the solar panels would fit, where they would be producing the most energy, wouldn't be subject to shadows. Full sun panels is what they wanted. Because we could add more, but we would get less recovery on that, and it's silly to spend money on something when you're not going to get the same kind of power out of it.
Sure.
So that's what they were proposing. This would be something after we did the roof, so I think I would get more estimates before we, well, if we're in agreement that I should pursue this, and I don't know that we would need a motion for that because it's not money, but, out of our coffers. But, I just wanna make sure that we're not, that nobody on the board is saying, we don't want this, we're not gonna accept the funds if we get the donation. That was my concern. But they did a calculation off of our total roof size, and I would ask other solar companies to provide a similar sized system in their estimates. The things that will happen, solar panels will become more efficient before we do this. That's almost guaranteed. I don't know if costs will go down, but we know that they'll become more efficient. They may be producing higher energy than what we anticipated.
And these, I'm getting into detail, but these wouldn't be flat panels, they would probably, flat panels would be tough in Wisconsin because of snow
Yeah.
and things like that. So, you know, it would have to be more, hopefully where the snow will slide off and you don't
Yeah.
have to go up and roof rake them or something.
Yeah, we won't have to roof rake them. They should be at an angle, and they're very durable, so you wouldn't, I mean, other than snow accumulating and the weight on our roof would be a problem if it was flat, but it would be angled anyway. And then they claim that they would be fine as far as melting the snow off.
So then my other question was, it looks like there's a warranty for like 25 years for installation of the panels and then 10 for the inverter. What is the life expectancy of the actual panel?
The life expectancy is well beyond the 25 years or whatever their warranty was. I can't remember that off the top of my head, and I know that you've got it, but it will, the power that was produced past the 25 years will not be as much power as produced at the beginning of the 25 years.
So
there is
slowly
a
get weaker.
decrease.
They will get
over
weaker
time.
at that point, but they'll still be producing strong power at the 25-year mark. The thing is, our roof will probably need to be replaced in 20 years anyway, so that would be a time when we'd have to reevaluate if we want to upgrade panels at that time, which may be cheaper at that point.
Sure.
These panels can be reinstalled if that's the case. The one part that was not included in the warranty was the inverter, and that's really just a hard, not a hard drive, what am I thinking of?
It looks like that was a 10-year warranty on the inverter.
Yeah, yep, 10-year warranty on the inverter.
And that was included, the DC inverter, they were
Yeah,
included?
it's a shorter warranty though.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's 10 years as opposed to the 25.
okay.
What am I thinking, computer board, motherboard, essentially the cost of a motherboard, a couple $100. So if that needs to be replaced, that's the inverter cost. And there is a number of inverters there, so 6 inverters, potentially. Not necessarily would that item fail, but that is something that could happen after the 10-year warranty. And that's just one company, so we'll have to learn more about other companies, but
And Steve, just wanted to throw it out to the board, because if someone has a real aversion to say, no, we don't want him to spend his time on that, then, you know,
Steve, would this go through a full process, no different than any other capital project like the city would do?
I would do that even though we're not using city funds for this. I
I
would,
just think the idea of, hey, you send it out there and you get the vendor to bid, your
Yeah.
4 vendors or whoever you get. And then number 2, is this something that, now that we have that Friends group, that fundraising aspect would actually go through them? And then we would just accept the full dollar amount
From the
towards the
Friends?
project at the end, or not? Now
I
that we
wouldn't-
have that fundraising group.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't see that the Friends would have a problem with that if they want to accept those donations. If that might be the best way to go, because they will hopefully in the next month or so be a 501c3, and some entities only give to 501c3s. So that, I think, is reasonable to ask the Friends to be the recipient of those funds for the project.
Right, yeah. And then I think the Friends would, they give the money to the library, and then the library would do the purchase. I mean, the Friends wouldn't do the purchasing, it would
Right.
be on the library.
no, it would just be that the money stays in the friend's hands, like
Yes, yes.
And then they
Checkbook.
gift it at a certain point in time to
Right.
kick off or pay the whole project. perfect.
So the Friends would have to do a long form for that year.
That they would, yes.
But again, we as the board would have to do the approval of the whole thing, the project and that. So this is just throwing it out.
Yep, and I don't wanna start asking people for money if we're gonna say no thank you. So,
Well, that wouldn't look good.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
I think that we could become a showplace on something like that, you know. One of these companies could, I mean, this is a building that you could showcase that.
yeah.
And they could get a lot of publicity from handling stuff like that in the public library.
Based on this company's knowledge, we would be one of the first in Washington County to have such a large
Oh, that would be
solar
interesting.
panel array, which would be good
Okay,
information for manufacturers as well.
all right. If nothing else, we will move on to number 12, our county contract. Basically, the contract is very similar to what it had been in the past. One of the things that I see that has changed is the dollar amount that each library will now receive 100% of the dollar amount for the number of books on loan. At one point or prior, we were getting a little more than 100% because we were the resource library.
Well, it was
Or-
just based off of our
Calculations?
average cost of circulation, I believe.
Okay,
So they just took a number, I think it was average cost of circulation, applied it to all libraries. Our cost of circulation is lower, so we were getting 103% or 105%. Now it's 100%. But we still get our resource funds in a different way as well, so that we'll be getting some monies for that, which,
the 3% was a little sore spot with some of the other libraries, you know, everybody wants equity. So now if
This-
everybody's getting 100%, this is
they
equity.
won't cry about it anymore.
Right.
I don't know if I should have said that on camera, but
I know, I was trying to be tactful.
I'm not very good at that, but Brad and I are gonna work on that together. He's gonna teach me to be a little bit more tactful, maybe.
And basically, you had said, and I didn't really spot that in here, that they were still leaving the information in about capital
Yep,
in the event that, right now, the county is not providing us capital, it went into expense. But in the future, if the county would ever provide us capital, it still states that the city would be responsible for a match of the dollar amount, so that was left in.
so here's all the wonderful things about the county contract is, it's based on our last year's annual report, so we will know what our budget number is for the next year's budget, because we already know what our circulation was and our cost per circulation was. So that number, we know, at least that part of the county agreement, we will know right off the bat. We should be able to know whatever resource monies they have available as well, because we just subtract what the Act 420 payments that they pay out to other counties are from the total that they levy for the libraries. So that makes that a little bit easier to distinguish as well. So that's a couple of the wonderful things. And then the other thing is the payment's gonna be twice a year instead of 4 times a year. So we'll know what we're gonna get. For example, this year, Brad and I were just looking at the numbers, and it looks like we overestimated what we'll get. We aren't going to lose money. Based on the new contract, next year, we're gonna get about the same amount of funds, but we budgeted more than what we should have for this year, so I'm counting that into my calculations as far as doing some of our projects that we're doing, so that we have enough money to make it through the year without, hopefully without dipping into our
Fund balance.
fund balance, yeah. So it's a really easy thing for us as far as the accounting goes, and makes it a lot easier for the public to understand what's going on. There's no 5% held back, it's just the bill is the bill, straight money.
And does it stipulate, I didn't see that the 2 payments, one would be like January and June?
I think it was February and
February? Okay.
June.
That's fine, because right now, we wait till November to get the 4th one, so we'll get the money a little upfront. And
Yeah.
that'll mean that when you're looking at Joseph's report, the county money won't be in the red for the first couple of months. We should have funds out there, and we'll be drawing on that.
And
in
probably
the-
shouldn't get to the red at all because June will be covering the last half of the year, right?
Right, right. But in the past, they were actually pulling money out of the fund balance to make that payment because of the fact that the county wasn't providing the funding
Yeah.
in a reasonable manner, I'll say. Okay.
So I think it's a wonderful, it was a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's a wonderful change.
And this was worked on, the 5 librarians, this was that report that they did last year. There was a document, probably 77 pages, we all got that. And that was that document that had some of these changes. Now, do you want, we have to approve this.
Yeah.
So I'd like, any questions?
Just
John?
for the record, from what I'm seeing, unless I'm reading this wrong, I think it says February and July, not June.
Okay.
Okay, February and July,
It could be July.
That makes sense.
yeah, 6 months,
Yeah, just want it for the record.
okay. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the county contract as written.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jess. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do you want me to sign this? This is gonna have to go to the council too, the common council.
Yeah, you'll need,
Do
we'll
you-
have you sign it.
You want me to sign this one here? And then
Sure.
it can go up through the city?
That works.
Oh, mayor and the clerk, okay.
Is that the right one?
Yep,
that's
West Bend, oh yeah, been
'Cause I
there,
know they
done
gave us
that.
all of them.
Yeah. This will also be online if you ever need it, in the county website. Okay. Okay. There you go. Okey dokey. Oh, now we're going into the number 13, the 2022 budget approval. Did you want to?
I don't think I need to add a whole lot to it. The budget that we looked at it. I made some minor changes to meet the expectations of our city administrator and what I think the expectations of the common council were. To try to keep us around the 3% increase to our total budget, outside of the wage adjustment. So I did have to make some trims here and there, but it wasn't as much as I dreaded. And they seemed to go, it went through finance committee without much concern. The hearing for the budget is it the 9th or the 10th? Do you know?
I think it's no, 8th.
Eighth?
I was gonna say, yeah. The
8th of
9th is
November.
Tuesday, yeah.
So usually when it gets to that point, there's questions, but the budget usually doesn't change much on that night. There's actually a slight change in the levy that, I think we're down 3 cents if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that though.
$7.90.
Yeah. So it seems like it should go through without a problem.
And part of the reason Steve had met with the finance before we actually had approved it was because of for some reason this year, it was like we had a shortened time frame for, it's like we didn't get the dollar amount. So technically, we should have had everything for last month's meeting, and we didn't. But you're comfortable with the budget. And basically, we are asking, included in the city levy is the additional dollars for the wage survey. Now, we all know about the wage survey. It was turned down until there was an RFP sent out for a full analysis. That full analysis will be taking place, and the city has allotted the dollar amounts to be placed in our budget for that. So we're covered on that.
Yep.
Any questions for Steve? I mean, it seems like we usually battle these budgets, and it was like, this was so, seemed like, wow, for some reason. I don't know why.
A little better than it was last year,
Quite a bit, yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I'm amazing. It's,
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I mean, you're gonna talk about me soon. No,
Well, one of the things I will say, Steve has worked very well. The city has worked very well with the library, and the library has worked very well with the city on this budget, and it seems to make it so much easier.
Right.
It's good to have good relationships.
Yeah, it is
And,
good.
and we all understand each other and we try to respect each other's expectations.
So, any questions for Steve on any of the categories on, where do we stand right now with our openings? Do we have any openings, or are we pretty well filled everything?
We are filled, our
Okay.
staff, our staff is filled actually, starting the first week in November, we'll have all of our people for 2022 already, which means we'll be paying a little bit more out in wages than we had been paying, but we have a little bit of funds to make that work, so. it
So we're
should-
fully staffed
We'll
at
be
this
fully
point?
staffed at this point, for 2022. Yeah. And I think that we'll be able to maintain our
Good.
people. I think they'll be happy with the wages, and hopefully the full-time people is what the wage study is going to impact. But in our budget was the adjustments for part-time people, so.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the 2022 budget. It's hard to believe 2022 is right around the corner. 2022 budget.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Karen, have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Wow.
Now,
Okay, now we are going to be entering into our closed session. Tom, you don't have to stay, because once the closed session is, we will be ending. And Ian, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. How's that?
if you have any questions, I can meet
Get
you
you out
outside
there, so.
during the closed session.
Okay,
And just please make sure you record the motion to re-enter open session and the time.
oh yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to state statute section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance review data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This, we have, okay, so moved, or a motion. We need to do it,
Second.
and then we have to have a roll call. Tim?
Aye.
Karen? Joanne?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
In closed session.
into closed session.